the energy and resources sector is really quite a challenging place to be at this moment in time. The mining companies are really struggling with a rapid drop-off in commodity prices. The oil and gas companies are having to go into deeper and deeper water and more difficult places to extract the oil reserves that they once found quite easy to get at. And the energy and utilities companies in the UK are really starting to feel the burden of increased regulatory enforcement by both Ofgem and Ofwat. And all these things are really driving, in our client base, sort of three key themes that we're seeing. First was the one of trying to take cost out of the business, and we'll talk about how that's addressed in a moment through maybe through finance automation techniques, through trying to build effective regulatory compliance frameworks to deal with that increased regulatory burden, and last but not least, actually looking at the cyber threat. What does cyber threat really mean in an energy and resources sector? Is it really that important? As clients look towards the challenge of taking cost out of their core business processes, one of the things that we're seeing has got a lot of interest in the market spaces at the moment is what we are terming finance automation. So using a number of proprietary technologies to try and automate a number of the sort of manual finance processes that go on outside the ERP systems. One of the benefits is clearly the improved efficiency, and we're seeing less time being expended on those areas. That's taking cost out of the process. But we're also seeing a much better control environment when people are actually much more confident in the numbers that are being produced out of the systems, given the automation that's in place. Regulatory compliance. What does that mean in the energy and resources sector? Well, at the moment it means quite a lot of pain. So first of all, you've got various pieces of large-scale global regulation, often driven by fairly short-term political whims, so these things change quite quickly. You need to be very agile in terms of being prepared to manage those. What that's actually driving in terms of the client base is actually people developing regulatory compliance frameworks which are much more akin to the financial services sector. Much better staff, so not part-time people, full-time people, building properly defined control frameworks, using data analytics techniques to monitor payments and transactions, and actually aligning people's pay and performance to specific objectives within the regulatory compliance space. Cyber attacks, it's something we see in the press every day of the week. How can this be relevant for the energy and resources sector? Surely these aren't particularly consumer-faced organisations, so taking your website down is not going to have a big impact, is it? What we're seeing is one of the oil majors recently had their entire server taken down, which took out all their email communications for sort of 10 to 15 days. We're seeing the absolute increase in terms of state-sponsored hacktivism. In the US, we've seen examples of hackers trying to get into the systems which manage your pumps and valves in terms of the networks. So this is definitely an area that you need to be focused on. So with clients in the energy and resources sector having to take long-term bets at the same time as facing very high levels of instability in the current environment, we're seeing, as we've discussed, a lot of focus on cost down, managing the regulatory compliance challenges, and managing those cyber threats which are out there for all organisations in the sector.